Welcome. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. From our BizVision studios in the UK, you're watching the Leadership Matters channel on the BBTV network. In case you haven't noticed it, 2021 has started. Now, I'm not being facetious, as we all seem to have missed that big dividing event of New Year's Eve and almost drifted into 2021. And there's the danger. Here at the BBTV network, our first quarter theme is Awaken. A single word, but with a big message. Awaken to opportunity is where we'll focus on today, as I go to meet the founder of fellow business support company who has some very relevant Awaken messages for you. From BizSmart, please welcome Kevin Brent. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you very much, Malcolm. It's very kind of you to invite me on.
Lovely to talk to you. Lovely to talk. Kevin, before we get into our three-part chat, please introduce yourself to the audience, who you are, what you do, and for whom.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so my name's Kevin Brent. I founded and run a business called BizSmart, and we work with owner-managers of businesses to help them to scale up, but also to maximize the value of their business. And it's kind of founded really when I saw some of the statistics a while back that in this country and largely around the world, only about 4% of businesses make it beyond the 10 employee level. And if you look at beyond the 50 employee level, then actually it's less than 1% make it to that. So we're about trying to move the needle on that dial really, and help business owners to break through some of those barriers.
Okay, great. I'm talking to Kevin today in three parts. First part, we'll introduce the subject of scale up. Can it be done in these challenging times? In part two, I'll talk to him about his value builder service. And in part three, we'll find out more about his smart boards. Kevin, let's kick off our chat in part one about scaling up. I'm with you, especially with our theme of Awaken. But do you think too many businesses are currently saying, forget scale up, I'm struggling even to catch up? What's your thoughts?
Absolutely, and I think it very much depends on the kind of sector we're in, the kind of business that we've got, and some of us are fortunate in that we are able to grow, and you know, we, from our own research, something like about 30% of businesses that we work with are actually able to grow, and they certainly grew through the first lockdown. But equally, yes, there are a number of people and businesses where we're struggling a little bit more. But I think the message around scale up is not absolutely around scale up. And we never say to business owners, you know, you've got to keep scaling. It's all about scaling up. It's not, because we've got to find where we're comfortable. But a lot of the messages and principles around having a business that is scalable also means it's resilient. And then at times like this, that means that you're much more likely to be able to survive. And then potentially, even if you can't keep pushing forwards at the moment, you're ready then for when things do ease, and then you can push forward. So it's not just about scaling up for scaling up's sake. It's about creating the kind of business that is resilient. And I think there's a famous Warren Buffett quote, which if I can quote him, it's something along the lines of, it's only when the tide goes out that you discover who's been swimming naked.
Right, yeah. I mean, scale up is a fascinating subject, and you know, both of us involved with in so many ways. I got annoyed with all the academics a few years ago who were selling business. You should only support businesses that go for a 20% scale up. What a load of rubbish in my mind that is, because you know, you can't categorize businesses with just one thing called 20%, can you? And 20% on what?
Indeed, and there is a technical kind of definition of what a scale-up company is, and that limits it straight away, as you say. You know, 20% increase in whether it's employees or turnover consistently for the last 3 years. But in my mind, they're already businesses that have kind of made it through one of those barriers. You know, they're already on the path to success, and they're already in that, certainly in that 4%, they might even be in the 1%. And what we're trying to do is to help the business owners that want to scale, but maybe haven't been able to break through that barrier, to help them to do that, and therefore to increase the number of scale-ups.
Yeah. Do you think it's harder for small businesses to scale up because, you know, might have started off with £200 in a bag of tools, and suddenly he's got to, or she's got to change to being a business person, and it can be a bit sort of scary, can't it? Scale up.
it can be scary. It's one of those things again that if we might have the desire to do it, but we perhaps don't have the knowledge to do it, or perhaps even the confidence that we can. And we talk about the scale up journey as being a series of stepping stones, not a straight line growth or even a up and down kind of growth. It's very much a series of stepping stones, and we might start off as a one-man band. And build a very good business as being on our own. And that might be all we want to do. And that's fantastic if we want to do that. But if we want a business that maybe's got 3 to 5 employees in it, then that's a very different kind of business. And we can't just step from the one stepping stone to the next. We've got to have a different kind of business. We might need to look at the business model. We might need to invest in between, might need to do all sorts of things. And there are similar stepping stones. We talk about the 3 to 5, then there's the 8 to 12, then there's typically the sort of 20 to 25 kind of stepping stone. And in between each one, it's a danger zone, because that's the area at which we're trying to transition the business. We're investing in the business. We might be reducing the profitability of the business. And if we don't get it right, we can get stuck in what are sometimes called those valleys of death in between.
Yeah. Got you. Kevin, let's move to part 2. I'd like to remind viewers and listeners of Kevin's website URL, which is biz-smart.co.uk. Now, BizSmart is the word or the business, but for the URL member, it's biz-smart.co.uk. So go there and download lots of information. Great site. Kevin, I want to talk to you about your Value Builder service, and also your website offers to increase a business value by 71%. Tell us about Value Builder and why that odd 71% figure.
Yeah, it may sound a little bit odd, but it's based on research, and it's for the average business as to what we believe that we can increase the value for. So part of our methodology, I mentioned scale up and value. So part of our methodology is to build a business, or to help business owners to build a valuable business, so that we're not just creating a job for ourselves, but there is something there when we decide to move on. It might be we want to sell the business, but it might be we want to put a manager in place to run the business. But whatever it is, we're not just creating a business that is entirely reliant on us as an individual. So, for example, we could go on 3 months holiday and the business would still survive when we come back. Now, not many of us are in that situation. I'm certainly not yet, but that's something certainly that I'd like to be able to get to. But so building for value ties in very nicely with the principles of scaling up as well. And we use a particular methodology as well around building for value. And through that, there's been research with something like 40,000 businesses across the world looking at businesses that have either recently sold or recently had an had an offer to sell, and correlated their score on an index with the value of the business, essentially with the multiple of their net profits, or to be a bit more technical, their EBITDA. And we know that if a business scores averagely, which is around 55 on this index out of 100, then they're likely to get a multiple of somewhere around 3.5. If they score 80% or more, then they'll get a multiple which is 71% higher.
Excellent.
And that's where the 71 comes from.
Yeah, very sound and interesting research, that, isn't it? Actually, value is a hard thing to put your finger on, isn't it? Because value means different things to different people. Value could be the fact that you're just round the corner to us, or value could be your experience, isn't it? How do you define value?
Yeah, value, exactly. Value can mean lots of different things to lots of us, just like success can. Success to you may look very different from what I consider success to be. In this case, we're looking at the value of the business, and there are 8 key drivers that we look at that help a business owner to assess the value of that business. And it's looking at it through the lens, if you like, of a potential acquirer. So if I was looking at acquiring your business, what are some of the key things that would make me look at whether I felt that business was valuable or not? And one of those would be, is that business over reliant on the owner? If we took the owner out of the business, what happens? But that would be one of those 8 drivers.
Yeah, yeah. I find it fascinating as to how people value businesses. I've worked a lot in document storage, for example, and they're looking not at how many boxes you've got on the shelves, but how much empty space you've got, because that's the value that they can add to buying the business. It is a fascinating subject, isn't it?
It is, and you can exactly, as you're looking at it from an acquirer's point of view, different acquirers will want different things also. Sometimes they simply want the stream of cash that's coming out of the business, the profits that are coming out of the business. Others are much more strategic buyers, and they're looking exactly as what you've just looked at, is what's the opportunity here? If we brought our skills as well to this new business, how could we make it even better? Or how could we sell more of our own business? How can we make our own business more profitable? So what's the strategic opportunity here of putting the two together? And the idea of these 8 drivers and the benchmarking exercise that we take people through is to help them think through that and the different aspects of it, so they can start to think about, okay, well, maybe I should think about building more recurring revenue streams, for example, within the business. Is it all ad hoc at the minute? I'm a graphic designer and I build a website, and then and when I've done that, I've got to get my next company to build a website for, and then but there's nothing recurring. Could I build some kind of recurring model that means I've got a more stable model? And again, we come back to resilience here. Businesses that have got a large element of their turnover that's in recurring revenue are much more likely to have been stable throughout this and not taken a big hit throughout this crisis than ones where they were reliant on the last sale and then trying to get the next sale.
Let's just stay with value at the moment. How important do you think brand and reputation is in the value of a business?
Yes, hugely, and I think the absolutely the perception of the business, the reputation that your business is absolutely crucial, and I think it also goes to what it is that what is the purpose of our business, what's the mission that we're on, and businesses throughout this crisis, we've seen this quite clearly actually. Businesses that have got a really strong core purpose as to why they're in business are the ones that have been able to adapt, because if you go, well, the crisis has changed the way we do things. We can no longer meet in person. So if we're a gym or something along those lines, we can't have loads of people coming together in that. But actually, our core purpose is around helping to improve the fitness of the nation or of the particular group of people that we're looking. Well, how else can we do that then? And the stronger our core purpose is, the more likely we are to think about how else can we do it then. If we can't do it the same way as we were, how else can we do it? Whereas if we're just in business and we're not clear on what that core purpose is, we might just go, oh, it's too hard. We can no longer do it that way. So we've got to make an excuse for ourselves and stop trading for a while. And that clearly is not so great.
Thanks, Kevin. And now for part 3 and your intriguing Smartboard service. Tell us about it, how it works, and what it does for participants.
Yes, I think one of the things that we've become increasingly clear about over the years, and we've seen it very strongly during the current pandemic, is the power of peer-to-peer working. So if you imagine a group having, as a business owner, if you imagine having a group of 5 or 6 other business owners that you trust and you rate and that you meet on a regular basis, and you help each other to inspire each other, but also to overcome challenges that you might come up with. You bounce ideas around, you act as a sounding board, but also to keep each other accountable, because we all know that one of the great things about being a business owner is we don't have a boss, but equally one of the difficult things about being a business owner is there's nobody else that's keeping us accountable. So imagine having that group of people that you can meet with on a regular basis that can then help you to keep going, address these challenges, and not get caught out by things that maybe come out of left field. And that's essentially what smart boards are about. We overlay them with all of the principles about scaling up and building for value. So we bring in regular themes and things for us to talk about and think about and apply to our businesses. And as I say, but a core part of it is that ability that we can bring forwards a challenge that we've got. And we do things like every 90 days, we look at at 90-day planning. So that's one of the core things that we really build in, so that we're really clear as to what our priorities are for the next 90 days. And we run all of these online. It's particularly since the pandemic, we've moved everything across to be all online, and they're a great way of helping to go on that scale up journey and help each other along the way. And it's all about there's an old African proverb that we've adopted, really, and it's along the lines of, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So we're about working together to help each other to go far on that scale up journey, and that's what smart boards fundamentally are about.
So how do you put together a group? Are they the same sector, or are they same size, or what's the mix?
So we look for a nice mix. A diverse mix within a smart board is ideal. So we do not put competitors within the same groups, and we don't generally have sector specific ones either. They are a mix, because and we look as well for business owners at different stages of that scale up journey. So it might be that somebody's at that 8 to 12 employee level, somebody else is at the 3 to 5, somebody else maybe's got 20 plus employees. That means that we can help each other by saying, well, actually, yes, we had exactly that problem when we were moving from that one to that one. So that's absolutely clear. And it's been likened a little bit to in business. If you imagine looking out of your south-facing window, if you imagine your house was your business, and you've got this lovely view out of your south-facing window, and maybe over time, maybe you clear the hedges so that you can see a bit further. You make sure the glass is really clear. You might even make sure your vision is perfect. Maybe even get binoculars. You maybe hire a few experts to really get that long-term view. But actually, we're missing what's happening out of our other windows of the house. And sometimes it's better to have, even if the view is partially obscured out of our west facing and our east facing, our north facing windows, it's better to have some of that perspective than to have none at all. And peer groups with diverse people in them are exactly that. You've got people that go, you know what, I know you say that's the way things happen in your sector, but why? I don't understand. I'm a completely different sector, and this is the way we do it in our sector. Why couldn't that work in your sector? And it might be that we've been so blinkered in our views, and that's one of the real benefits of smart boards and peer-to-peer working, is we get that alternate perspectives, even when they're not experts in our particular sector.
Brilliant. Yes. I mean, I've chaired and done live events in hospitality, manufacturing, and so on and everything. And I think the problem there was everybody's in the same sector, and they're frightened to do honest talk in case they're giving away information and so on. There, it sounds like you've got it just right there, just the right balance. Yeah,
I think that's a really, really crucial point.
Yeah, excellent.
If you can't get to the depth of what's going on, the real issues within your business, then it's not much more than networking. It's a case of, okay, yes, business is fine, thank you. We could do with a little bit of extra business here and there, but actually, we have to make sure the groups everybody feels really that everything's confidential. They can raise issues but also opportunities that they may not actually want to share with the rest of their team even. There are personal and very, very deep issues, and therefore we have to have groups that don't feel that there's a hidden agenda here, that somebody's trying to get information out of them, or even to sell them something. It's not about that at all. It's about really working together as trusted advisors, almost like non-executive directors, really, within your business.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I'll just remind viewers and listeners again, Kevin, of your URL, which is on the screen behind me, viewers. But for listeners, it's biz-smart, bizsmart.co.uk. Kevin, I started off this show by reminding you of our Awaken theme, and our viewers and our listeners. And I trust you found all listeners and all the viewers enough inspiration during this interview with Kevin Brent of BizSmart.co.uk to not keep slumbering through 2021. Kevin, thanks for a great interview.
Malcolm, thank you very much indeed again for inviting me on.